Hello everybody and welcome to episode 1 of Rogue Judges, a 2000 AD fancast. I'm your host, Rory Bailey, and I'm joined by my good friend and also co-host, Scott Jones. How's it going, man?
Yeah, doing good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. So, the aim of this is we were going to start reviewing random 2000 AD stuff and talking about like 2000 AD and other media. I know Rebellion, who own 2000 AD, have just launched... just starting the launch of a new game that's coming out on the PS5 and Xbox Series S, which is done by the creators of 2000 AD. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I'm sure we'll end up covering extensively when it gets closer to coming out. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'm very ill prepared. But we'll obviously also be talking about like the Dredd movies, of which there have been 2, and some of the other stuff that's lined up, and we'll go from there. So what we're going to talk about this week is this week's issue of 2000 AD, which is PROG 2392, which is fairly decent. What are your thoughts on it so far, Scott? Because we've both obviously read through it. And
I enjoyed the Machine Rule 01. That was quite interesting. And obviously, big Dredd fan anyway, so thoroughly enjoyed it. Be fair, I wasn't keen on the format of so many, what have we got in here? 4 different sub-comics in one magazine. One starting from scratch. One 15 episodes in. And yeah, I mean, we had in here Judge Dredd's Machine Rule, Brink Consumed, Hearn and Shuck, Suffer the Children, Future Shocks, Space Shopping, Silver Unearthed. Overall, they're all interesting. But would I want them in a combined book? I don't think I would.
Yeah.
But that being said, it doesn't lose any of it, you know.
Well, the reason why I wanted to start with this one and not one of the ones over the last couple of weeks is the last few weeks it's been Judge Dredd, BAM Hunters, and that's been a multi-thing. Rogue Troopers just come to a conclusion as of last week, and that was a fair few chapters in by that point, and so this is the closest to a fresh start there's been in a while of multiple number part 1s on there. However, there is, like you say, Brink is part 15 that's on there.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, I'll be fair, my favourites were Machine Rule, Face Shopping, and Unearthed. Unearthed I thought was good. You mentioned to me earlier that it's not the first of the series.
No, it's number 3 on that one, yeah.
But you can pick it up.
Yeah.
You don't really need the first couple of parts, should we say, to pick it up and run with it. You can just jump straight in there and it's good. Whereas I felt Brink coming in because we wanted to read Machine Rule 01 and start from here. Coming in with Brink 15, I didn't care for it in the slightest.
Yeah, I know.
I read it and I tried to. I didn't dislike it. I just didn't care for it. You know.
Yeah, because you've not had. I mean, especially with this part. I mean, we've got to the point where the main character is being held prisoner, and you can't really tell that from this.
She's been, from what I gathered, I mean, being completely new to the Brink parts, being interrogated, suspect for murders that she didn't do, or perhaps did do, we don't know yet. But I just didn't really care. It's the same with the Hearn and Shuck stuff. Graphically, it looks lovely.
Although that is only part 1, it's just the cliffhanger thing. Yeah,
but it's not.
Not even a cliffhanger. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to shoot the main character. I mean, it'd be pretty
bearded Nicolas Cage.
They're not going to shoot bearded Nicolas Cage on the first episode. But I thought graphically it looked really stunning. But again, I feel like it's just. Well, yeah, I just feel like the story's just not there for me. But give it a couple of episodes, that may change.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, because how they run with these progs is it's kind of like a sampling of stuff, even though this is what it's printed in first. But like the Hearn and Shuck's one that you mentioned is 6 pages on this, and it's good. It starts to read well, but it's not enough to know how it's going to go, and I
feel like if you had the first 10 episodes and you did a run of this with Machine Rule 1, Hearn and Shuck, Shocks, everything that's already in here, but you had the first 10 parts of it.
Yeah.
So it was beefy enough to get into,
So
enjoy.
in 10 episodes' time, we'll recap all 10 of them and see if we've
Yeah.
enjoyed it by that point.
Exactly. I mean, having a book that is got various different stories at different parts of their life cycle, shall we say,
Yeah.
is a bit, again, coming in from the outside completely new without having read any of the previous ones is a bit, well, I don't really care for the ones that I've missed. But I suppose if they've had all 10 episodes, all 5 of these comics,
Yeah.
in one, let's say, dandy style
Annual sort of thing.
annual type thing.
Which is what they used to do in the like
Yeah.
70s, 80s, and 90s. You used to be able to get the big, thick annuals and stuff.
That for me would be great. You get 10 episodes, you get into it. I mean, I probably would have sat there and enjoyed, what's it called now? The Brink a lot more.
Yeah, and to be fair, Brink's by one of my favourite comic book writers, which is it. Why I'm reading it and it's very wordy, which is good. Like, you know what I mean? He's obviously there's a lot of effort put into the dialogue. The art style's very unique. Reminds me slightly of that Mirror's Edge game. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that sort of pastiche to it. But I quite liked it. It's just that because it's by Dan Abnett, who famously did Marvel's Annihilation saga and relaunched Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's the one who created the kit. His version of Guardians was the one with Star-Lord, Gamora, Groot, Rocket, and Drax, which influenced the movies and stuff. So he's a great writer and knows his stuff. And Brink's been interesting. It's just for me, I haven't read all of this section of Brink yet because I started reading these again 5 weeks ago. Obviously that's part 15 we're in now, so I'm still 10 parts missing somewhere. And
and I'm not trying to take away from the storyline. I'm
No,
not trying to take
it's
away
just-
from it as a comic as a whole. But coming in partway through, because again, wanted to read the start of the Machine Rule.
yeah,
Um,
which the main reason for that is because of the creative team on it. But we'll circle back to that in a minute.
yeah. But I did like the fact that, you get all the way through it and then at the back some guys just got big monster face.
Yeah,
It did make me chuckle. But the artwork is great. It reminds me of very similar to Saga's artwork.
yes,
Which is great. And I did feel, again, going back to Machine Rule, I love that. I thought it was brilliant. Great first introduction into the series there. Dredd made me think of how Dredd is supposed to be.
well, the reason for that, and this is also why I wanted to start with this, is that this is John Wagner's return to Dredd. So John Wagner, who created Dredd, just wrote this one. So it's like
full circle.
Yeah, basically, like if you wanted to read a definitive Spider-Man from his early days, it would be Stan Lee's work and such, and it's basically the equivalent, but 2000 AD style.
Yeah.
So
it's good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It's a good start, a good place to kick off a podcast, and it's been enjoyable. It's been slowly building in subtly in other strips because I've picked up other progs and they've had the mechanical judges in the background just there sort of thing without really going into any detail. They're just that's just the team of judges that's come out has got one mechanical judge in there and like just randomly. But I'd seen the teaser months ago that John Wagner was coming back to 2000 AD, so I saw that it was with this storyline, the Machine Rules. Machine Rule. I'd seen the teaser for that, so I was sort of building myself up to get into that, and so I was aware that something was coming from it, and it's been cool.
Yeah.
And the last 3 progs have had the BAM Hunter story, and which was pretty cool. And that was delving into some of like the religious cult side of Mega City 1, which is great. It's just been fairly enjoyable, and
it was really a good introduction. And I've been reading some of the Warhammer 40k novels recently, and it gave me the same sort of vibe: dystopian future, guys in big armored suits walking around dispensing justice.
Yes.
So, I loved it, and it took me back to childhood reading the same things. But one thing I do want to talk about is Future Shocks by James P.T., Andrea Multy, and Jim Campbell. Oh, sorry, Andrea Mutti, my bad.
No problem.
I like that. I really liked it. The story, again, it's just a one-off. It reminds me very much, like I was saying earlier, Black Mirror, where it's each thing is self-contained.
Yeah.
Sort of like, here's an idea, run with it, see where it goes. And the one in this, I believe this is the first one, Face Shopping. Art style, not my favourite approach, but at the same time, can't say I disliked it. It feels like it fits with the storyline.
Yes.
And then again, you're reading it through. It's not too text heavy. I enjoyed it far more than the previous PROG, which was the Brink.
Yeah.
The style of it was great. The I'm not going to give away the story of it, but the story I thought was fantastic. I thought it was a very good sort of innocent. Oh, this I want to do this for cosmetics reasons, and then all hell, kind of breaks loose for that character. And I liked it, and I hope that it stays, an individual, self-contained. It doesn't really need the rest of the series to substantiate it.
Yeah.
It just is what it is, and I think that's fantastic.
There is some other Future Shocks that I've read that have been self-contained as well. So
Yeah.
they are nice little self-contained stories. So I'll dig out that was only a few weeks back. I'm sure it's on the side in the other room, so I'll grab one of those for you to just have a look at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I thought it was quite a decent little mini thing. Like you say, you really hit the nail on the head with it being like a little Black Mirror sort of story, and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I mean, for coming in from this as a first read,
yeah,
it was nice. It's not another story that started again and whatnot, but completely separate. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a breath of fresh air for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you've got Silver Unearthed Part 3, Book 1. As you said earlier, it's the third part. There's two others. I haven't read the two others, but I didn't feel like I needed to know the information in there. It was quite self-evident in what I was reading in this part. And it combines a few of my loves: sci-fi, alien invasion, humanity on the brink sort of thing. And it left it off with a decent cliffhanger. It did actually make me want to read the second one, which I then went and read the second one straight away. So,
so for the benefit of the listeners, for say the second one hasn't been released yet. 2000 AD themselves were very, very awesome and have got us on their official press list. So we've had advanced copies digitally sent to us, but I'm sure you can hear the rustling on this. We have genuinely still been purchasing each prog as they come out, because
definitely, because support.
Yeah,
and that's what you need to do for things that you like.
And it's one of those things where it's nice to read them digitally, but I still like to have the physical comics in my hands.
I disagree. I'm reading, like I said earlier, I'm reading some of the Warhammer books, and I'm reading them via Kindle on my phone.
Yeah.
But having a physical copy in your hand, feeling it, smelling it, as weird as it may sound, is so much better.
Yeah.
I read the prog digitally, like we said. But having a physical copy in your hand, turning the pages, feeling it just makes you more immersed in the experience.
Yes.
Whereas I work on computers all day, any day, so it's just like scrolling through another job.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. It is. I mean, that's one of the things why like, for example, the website that this podcast will be hosted on has doesn't have many articles on there because of this very same reason. In front of a computer all day, when you get home, you sort of switch off from it.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have stuff like this. Silver, I've read the first couple of parts of it. It's been very interesting so far. I think that'll be one of those things where we'll probably do an episode when it's all complete and we can just go through the whole thing. Because I can happily pass you the first two parts to have a read of at some point. But one of the things that I thought was quite interesting is they've done it. There's the last page of the book is an advertisement for 2000 AD versus Battle Action comics. And can you remember those Battle Action comics? They were the little half-size things, and
World War.
Yeah.
Ones. Yeah, I had loads of them. I thoroughly enjoyed them. I remember spending many an hour, sat in my room just flicking through these little books and getting lost in them. So yeah, that would be be really, really good to follow up on.
Yeah. So it's got. I mean, the advert says that it's got Judge Dredd featuring a brand new reimagining of action's most controversial strips. Kids are all okay, and also includes Dark's Mob, Death Game 2049, and Major Easy, amongst other things in there. And it's quite tempting. And from the picture, it looks like it's done like an old annual.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that I think's missing in shops and stuff these days is decent annuals. It used to be it was like a staple of my childhood in the 90s. Was every Christmas you'd get some random annuals of whether it be it like Beano Dandy, Marvel, 2000 AD. I've got in fact it's still on my shelf. I've got Road Trooper annuals from like the early 90s and stuff, and it was great how they used to do that, and it's sort of something that seems to have been lost in recent years. But or with like the Marvel annuals, they went too kiddie, like so they started just showing like the kids strips that they have, which there's a fine line because some of the stuff can appeal to all ages, and that's how they should be doing them. But yeah, but that battle versus the 2000 AD versus Battle Action looks like it's done in that sort of format. Which, if it is, I'm going to be very happy about that. I mean, it's something that I'm going to have to go and order soon.
Yeah, and I tell you, one of the best things about having this many progs in one, the different styles.
Yes,
it's good to see. I mean, you've got Dredd and all the others, but the artwork's different in each. They're not all the same, which is fantastic to see. The scripts are great as well, from different people. But it just brings that sense of excitement back to it. And for me, the fact it starts with Machine Rule 01, straight away you're into a chase scene, from the offset, is like, yes, this is getting back to how Dredd in my mind is. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because for years you've been doing the same thing that I've been doing, which is picking up the odd Judge Dredd graphic novel. If it looks cool, just having a quick read of it in a shop and buying it. And it's only been recently that I've gone into the weeklies again, and obviously roped you into it.
Well, I think in this day and age, you've got digital you can get everywhere, but like I said, I really don't like reading digital. And then where we live in this small section of the world, there's not really within local walking distance, or even within local sort of 10 miles, there's not really a comic book shop.
No.
There used to be a really awesome one, sold milkshakes, and we were in there every other day, every weekend.
It's mad that that was a good 10 years ago, isn't it?
Jesus, 10 years.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
But again, we don't have a proper comic book shop. The closest you can get is the local Waterstones, is about 4 miles away. You can get all your annuals and your manga in there, and that's great for all the like the one-offs like Batman, Spider-Mans and stuff like that, but not for your weeklies.
And you still don't get that good of a range for graphic novels, because it'll be
all the popular stuff.
Yeah.
Like what is it? The Batman Owls.
Yeah, you know what? I went to Lichfield last week. In fact, I found some decent collections there. I picked up last week's 2000 AD from there, as well as the sci-fi special that they've done for this year. Cheap plug. Like that. But their Waterstones, the only Batman they had was the Court of Owls.
Yeah.
But it's the, I know this is 2000 AD, we're going to have a brief side talk on DC. You sent me a link to this book the other year. It's the digest size ones.
Yeah.
So that's what they got in there, the digest size Court of Owls. I didn't know they'd actually come out. You sent me the thing to say that they're coming out, and there was like Watchmen, Court of Owls.
Yeah.
Was it Swamp Thing or something else? So they've gone for a few different ones. Sorry. And yeah, Waterstones and Litchfield had that, and no other Batman.
It goes to prove a point though. When I say how we don't get weeklies and stuff like that, and the selection is very limited, we both at different times got the same book from a bookshop in Wales, in a random place in Wales that we both just happened to go to at completely different times.
Yeah.
Got the exact same thing that you can get from our local.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to have
A
something.
decent bookshop like that, yeah, and that was in Ross-on-Wye, wasn't it? Rossiter Books,
Rossiter Books, yes.
which is a great bookshop. I mean, loads of my graphic novels have come from there over the years because I like going to Ross-on-Wye. It's quite nice and
Quite a nice place.
relaxing place. Yeah, and that.
And if anyone from Rossiter Books is listening, you're welcome.
we just got on a tangent for the last 3 minutes about shops, but like I say, the weekly stuff, like the weekly Marvel and weekly DC. For us to get hold of that, we have to travel on a 40-minute train journey or an hour in the car to go to Birmingham or something. Is as the nearest place to go.
Yeah. There might be something in Nottingham, but again, it's not within easy distance, and
No.
it's a shame.
Whereas the joy of the 2000 AD stuff is that not only is it in WH Smith's, which, to be fair, WH Smith's dying off everywhere now. I've noticed their shops are getting smaller and less frequent, but it's also available in most supermarkets. So
Is it?
Sainsbury's stocks them. I mean, I picked up this from Morrison's.
Did you?
Yeah. So
That's really good. I didn't. Plenty of times I've been looking in Sainsbury's, Morrison's just for scientific nature magazines for Eli, but I didn't notice them. So
Yeah, so
I'll have to keep my eye out now.
yeah, and I mean, I only discovered about him doing it in Morrison's because of my wife being awesome. Where the other month, she randomly went. She went down the media aisle of Morrison's randomly, and just went, "Oh, comic book with Judge Dredd on the cover. Rory will like that." That was it. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I've had a couple of months of getting them every week since that point. So
Oh, no, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they only. Do they have a limited supply, or is it?
there was. I mean, this comes out every Wednesday, and I went and picked this up yesterday, and there was 10 copies in there.
That's pretty good though,
Yes.
considering. I mean, I don't imagine a lot of people are going to go in there and ask specifically for 2000 AD, excuse me. But at the same time, the fact that they do it and they cater for it is pretty decent.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they had a dedicated section, but then again, I would love to just be able to walk into our local town and go to a local comic book store.
Yeah.
But such is life. I think.
That's pretty much all we can say about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think next time we maybe we get a couple of these together.
Yeah.
And just see how the stories flow. The one thing, again, because 2000 AD have been very nice to us and have given us this and the next one.
And a fair few other things.
And
We've
a
got
few other things, to be fair. If it wasn't for the fact that it was 300 pages, I may have read all of that already. But unfortunately, work and life. So I think, how about we give that a once over before the next time, and then we can review that, because I'm really looking forward to that. It's unlike this, which is like a sort of a teaser of a teaser. That is a big, beefy.
The Dredd one,
Dredd ones, and I'm looking forward to that. And then maybe we can, again, all things Dredd.
Yeah.
We could do a Stallone versus
Urban. Yeah.
And see what we think of that.
I mean, one of the things. Obviously, this is the first episode, and it's done as a finding a feat sort of thing. I think what we could do in the future episodes is we could pick a focus and then have a brief summary of the weekly prog, because I'm going to be getting them every week anyway, and so if I miss a week and you've read it, you can recap it and vice versa and stuff. So I think we should be able to do that as a standard section. But
I think that's got some good. The problem with these being so small is that summary might just be.
It could be 5 minutes. This is the thing. Like we again, for dear listener, we were planning on we'll aim for about an hour, and then we've read and we're like, we'll purely focus on the latest prog, and it's weird because I don't want to get into spoiler territory. I think everyone should read Machine Rule.
Oh yeah, definitely do read that.
I
thoroughly.
You can tell that's gonna go big from what it is, and I don't particularly want to spoil things for anyone. Other than the gist of it, obviously we've said that the title's Machine Rule. The whole the premise is about the mechanical judges that they've been having in a few Dredd strips and various Mega City 1 stories. The premise is that these mechanical judges are gradually taking over, but in this part, you don't know if that's the case yet or not either. They've sort of there's not been enough to.
I don't
to go
know.
on.
There's
It's hinted
okay.
at. It's like
They're saying that the
there's not
precinct.
enough.
They're saying that there's a precinct that they just do. All the judges have been benched in this one precinct.
Yeah.
And then, for lack of a better way of describing it, Dredd walks in and goes, "Fuck that,"
Which is great. That's
which
classic
is great.
Dredd. Yes.
And I think that's all the summary you need for that.
Yeah.
And I think if you're interested, go ahead and watch it.
Read
it. Yeah. I said watch because I was just watching my book fly around there. One thing we didn't mention really was Hearn and Shuck.
But because we said about it being only the 6 pages and
Yeah. I mean, again, graphic style, enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's a very, very nice 6 pages.
Yeah, I mean it's.
But again, it's just nothing really happens in it. I feel like it needs a bit more in there to get me hooked on that. So yeah.
Yeah, because like we mentioned about I said about it having a sort of cliffhanger, but it's one that doesn't really.
Yeah.
You don't really care about it because it's just someone. A randomer, and the last panel is a randomer with looking at someone else, and that hasn't appeared in this story yet. So there's no context for that character. So
Yeah, and again, it's not like Game of Thrones where they're going to kill everyone off, and Game of Thrones didn't kill everyone off in the first, episode. So
no, they just went for incest and kicked the kid out of a tower.
yeah,
which was okay.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things on that show. But I really will say that again, because I've got both on the opening here. Future Shocks was phenomenal, and it will make you go, "Oh wow!" It's a future sort of conundrum, and I don't want to give too much away.
That's the problem, isn't it? So. Yeah, so I think next week's episode we'll talk about something else, and we'll mention the prog briefly. And,
not just that. We'll just have a bit more structure to it.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you everyone for listening. If you're watching via YouTube, please subscribe. Yeah, they can watch it. It'll be a static image with our beautiful voices over the top of it. It's another way of distributing it. So if you're watching via YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and all that. If you're listening via Spotify, thank you.
What if you're listening via YouTube?
You could be listening via YouTube. You can still like and subscribe. And any of the other platforms that I put it out on, which there are numerous that it will go on, because
it wouldn't surprise me if I see smoke signals from my house
that just say, listen. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Take care. Thank you.